Hello and welcome to a new session of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Glamorous World. I am joined here by Kostas Tsalikis.
Yes.
Hi, Kostas.
Hi, Tudor. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We've bumped on each other on Discord and we jumped on a call to take a tour through Glamorous Toolkit. But before we do that, maybe do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. So, hi, I'm Kostas. I'm an Android engineer based in Greece. I've been developing Android apps almost for all my work life, so it's about 10 years. I've done some very little backend development in Python, but my main expertise is Android development. And I've worked both on legacy apps, also on new products. Each one has its own things. So on legacy apps, you can drill your skills and learn how to work on existing code bases. And on new products, um, you know more about the business and things like that. But my main expertise, I feel like it's legacy apps, and that's what I want to lean more into. So that's why I also bumped into mobile development, and it intrigued me how can I explain those legacy code bases.
Cool. And so, from your perspective, what is Glamorous Toolkit?
Yeah, so it's a little bit difficult to explain, especially to my colleagues, because I want to introduce this into our day-to-day, or at least, replace some of the hard-coded documentation with something more dynamic. So I don't have like a very big expertise, but from what I've seen and from all the recordings that I've seen about Glamorous Toolkit, I would say that um, it looks like an IDE. You can write code in Faro, but you can also create tools in Glamorous Toolkit. You can create visualizations. You can make API calls, parse data. So I would say it's a lot of things bundled into one. But when I try to explain to my colleagues, I say this is an ID. I don't say anything about Smalltalk or Faro because I don't want to scare them. But when I saw the results of what I've created, they were immediately, at least most of them, intrigued by, hey, I want this. How can we add this on Confluence?
Mm,
This is really cool and things like that.
cool. So let's then jump into what you've already prepared as kinds of
Yeah.
both tools and case studies.
So let me share my whole desktop, and hopefully
Yeah, we see the screen.
you can see Glamorous Toolkit. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. So this is a dummy example that I created to simulate a little bit of what I've actually done in my real day-to-day. It took me more than I would like to, but that's probably because I'm new to Faro, Glamorous Toolkit, and things like that. So what I would like to do is that let's say that we have an app, and I can also show the app. So we have this app here. It's just a dummy app, a placeholder text and the title. And let's say that we have two regulatory features. And I'm saying regulatory because I'm coming a lot from that background in my recent work. And it's very important to be compliant in some markets. So it's a matter of life and death, let's say, that you're compliant. So yeah, and I have created a dummy API which returns, and let me switch back to Glamorous Toolkit. So the API returns, it integrates with a real feature flag service, but we have a backend for frontend, so a dedicated backend environment for the native apps, let's say. Right now, it's only for Android since it's for the example.
Yeah.
And if I make the API call here, you can see that we have a show welcome message and a show country flag. These are just two flags or two features or two whatever, but you can imagine that we could have a multiple set of feature flags and combinations with multiple um, countries or markets or regulated environments, and also multiple environments that the app works. So you could have staging, beta, things, all things like that. So having a view for all of this is very difficult doing this by hand, because let me switch back to the feature flag service. So just a moment. Right now, this is like off-the-shelf feature flag service configured, not affiliated in any way. But you can understand that we could have a homemade environment. So we could have the test environment, the production environment, and then we could have all this here. So imagine that we have like multiple features and combinations of them. That's why I wanted to create like here a unified view of what's available. So what I've done here is that essentially I simulate the API call. I know that the Android code base has this host and this endpoint. I know that to get the features, I need to send which country the app operates. I know that we need a build number. Build number is an ascending integer. So every version needs to have like a build number, okay, in Android, but I think also on iOS. Because when you install the app, you need to replace the new client with the old client. So that's how the operating system knows which is the new one. Yeah, so based on that, we have here the API and the JSON. And I've seen a lot of the recordings about exploring APIs. So um, I knew that I needed probably an object to represent the app. And the difference between every app is the build number and the host name, because we have, let's say, two environments here, staging and the production. But you could also have like a lot of build numbers. So the first version, the second, third, and so on. So I have created this, and you can see that I've already created a GT view for a country, features per country. This is now empty because we haven't added the countries yet. Maybe not the best visualization right now, but I'm all, about getting some feedback here. And next is that, okay, we have the apps. We know that they have the host and the build number. And I have also created another class. So the app and the features objects are mine. It's on the exploring feature flags I have created. And for the features, I've parsed the response for the features API and added on a dictionary.
Let's take a
So
look.
if we would do that, we would see the dictionary in Faro now that this is the show country flag and this is the show welcome message. So for the Greek market, we don't show the flag, but we show the welcome message, let's say. So going back, I've also created the countries, and now I wanted to just query from the app. So instead of creating the Zing client every time here on the Lepiter page, I just make the API call from the app itself. So the app already has um, the host and the build number. And if I would expand this, essentially I've moved the Zen client get here, and I return the features as a domain object. And then what I would like to do is, okay, now we
What
have,
happens? What happens if you do that? So now you have staging app and inspect that. What happens?
so if I inspect the staging app features for,
Yeah.
this returns now, this is for Brazil, let's say, but if I would change back to GR,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I would get, uh, it returns a features domain object, which has the dictionary. And this should be, if we would check, oh, sorry, if we would go back, uh, this and this should be the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Understood.
so I do this because I would like to go for every country, for every app. And
Yeah, for sure.
so,
No, I understand that. I just it's just easier to see. So when you're is this instead of describing code, always show the code. Now notice here how, for example, when you're showing features, you're always double clicking on raw data.
oh,
When you,
here you mean?
yes, because you wanted to understand what's inside,
Yes.
which basically tells you, oh, actually, I would actually want to see the list of features here.
Yeah.
Because now you're taking two steps. You need two objects to describe this object, and sometimes that's a useful thing. But here, for example, in this particular case, given that features just has a raw view, there is clearly a place to enhance it with a bit more ability. And also the fact that you have features, it would be really interesting to actually have probably have feature in your model.
I see. I see.
So
Maybe the name is bad.
for example, if you would want to later on, I don't know, maybe related to some related to the place in the code. So, and then in that situation, you want to know where the feature is defined, where the feature is used in the code. So then having a first class feature would probably be kind of important. But the first thing to do here is to just take, just have the list of the dictionary right in the features object.
And how would I do this?
So for this, we need to create a view, right? And what is a view? Do you, do you know what a view
Um,
is?
yeah, as far as I've seen, a view is a method in the object. You
In the
have to
class of the
annotate.
object that we are looking at, right? Because it's essentially is like a printing. Um, it's like a printing method, but we don't print text, we print widgets, and we don't just have one of them, we have many, so we have to annotate them to distinguish which one are the view methods versus the other ones. So a very simple view is the print one. If you look in the print, yeah. So any object has raw, print, and meta. So raw is gives you the structure of the object, which is essentially today any inspector anywhere uh, pretty much shows you the raw view. The print one shows you, okay, what happens if you print it. And the meta view gives you the class of the object. So it's an editor of the class of the object, but with the specific property that that class, that editor has self inside. So you have all the variables that self has, including self, in there, which means that you can actually live code in the directly in that coder in Meta. Okay, but so in order to understand how a view works, just right click on print. If you right click on the print view, yeah. So you can see defining method or that, or right if you right click here again,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you right click on print again, you can also see the same thing here. You can also drag this one out just from here. You can drag the top bar out and then this persists, it remains.
Oh, I see. Nice.
Okay, so let's read what we have here. So we have in the class object, we have a method called print GTPrint4, and it's annotated with GTView. And it returns here a view on which we put a text editor, and then these are properties of that text editor. So that's the structure pretty much of any view that we have. So we will need to create something like this. Now, obviously, we'll probably not be creating a text editor. We need to create a list. So let's try to do it by hand first. So here in Meta, right? So in Meta, you can now create a new method, and let's call it GT features 4. We usually put 4 at the end, but it's just a name, so it doesn't have to be features 4. Okay, colon, and then you have to pass an argument, and the argument is like a stream, but it's a graphical stream. So we have GT view there, and now here we return a view, and then here we're going to say list, and then title. So the title is what appears on top. So we're going to say features or regulated features. Okay. So now we have semicolon. So semicolon means cascade, which means that the next message is going to be sent to the same receiver. Okay. So now a list is basically just the only thing you need to put it in. The basic thing is say where do you get the items? So we have something like items. So in the text editor we had where does the text come from? In the list we say where the items come from, and here we have a block. So we want the block, which means it's a closure. So because we want to evaluate this lazily after we have created the view. So the items here will be, I guess, raw data associations. Simply because you already have raw data associations. So you can now we can actually, because this is a live editor, so you can actually select this part and evaluate it. So Command G. No, not that. Inspector Command G. Yeah. So you can see it there basically. Okay, and now we can say let's put this one just for now. It's enough. Save, just like that.
Yeah.
And so what happened? Now we have the view,
Oh, yeah,
which
yeah.
means I don't need this one anymore. So I don't need the second one anymore. Okay, now this is a manual way in which I create the view, but let's right click on this one and remove the method altogether again. So go on the defining view and
Delete it.
yeah, remove. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Now, instead of this, now we already have the data here, right? And this raw data had an interesting view with 2 columns, keys and values in this case. So let's right click on this. And now notice here how you have a few suggestions here for how you can create a view based on the type of the object that you have. So based on the resulting object. So one is to say, let's create a column list with keys and values, and that's probably what you want here. So we can just go here, rename it to features. And also probably this name. Yeah, so now you can save. And that's it. Now it's
Oh,
there.
nice.
Now keep it there. Don't close it. Keep it there. Let's go
Okay.
switch to the view. Okay, and now basically maybe it shouldn't be key and value. It should be feature and enabled.
Oh, nice. I have a question here. So
Sure.
what we did, we were here, we right clicked here. So how does Glamorous Toolkit know which views to suggest? Does it do it through the type of
Yes.
the object?
the type of the object, and actually it does it through the instance of the object. So let's double click on this one, on the raw data, just to spawn it separately.
Double click, yeah.
Double click, yeah. Okay, so you can see here, yeah. So let's take the first one. So right click here. Yeah, look at the defining method. So you can see here GT items 4 called items. So a different kind of, so here until now you created, like here you have a column tree. Before you had a text editor, you created a list. So these are, you create the view. But interestingly enough, this one, raw data, already has a few views defined on it. So if you now right click on raw data again, you will see here there's something called a forward view. So let's take a look at this one.
Oh,
So the
yeah.
forward view means I already have this, the view exists in an object that I can get to. So if I go to raw data, I can actually get a view from that object and put it here. So instead of defining it here, I will forward the definition to another object, and that will be it. I will just bring the view over here to somewhere
I
else.
see.
So
I
this is
see.
what these
So
ones are. But this one over here is based on, you can have a view, basically kind of templates. And so different types throughout the system can define different templates to suggest views like that. But basically, often starting with the forward, so it's kind of interesting here. So you can start with the forward, but notice here how, let's click. So you notice here, yeah, just if you go to the forward to items, and just you can also click on here on this menu item. And it stays the same. So you don't have to necessarily drag it. Now, notice here how this method doesn't exist yet, but here in the object, I have a reference to an object. But this object actually has data in it because I'm in the living inspector. So if you double click, if you inspect the raw data, Command G, Control G, right? I have it. You have, it's the actual thing. So now, because this is an actual object, it means I can also, this is a symbol here, right? This is just just a string, but it actually points to a method. And because there is a little plugin in the editor, because not only the inspectors are extensible, anything or lots of things in the environment are extensible, including the editor. So this one here knew how to, so there is a little extension in the editor that understands uh, this library call, and then it resolves this. So when you expand it, it actually shows you the one on the other side. Now, if you define a forward view to items, you can later on actually inline that view here. So you can actually start with the view that already exists and then inline it and then modify it the way you want. So these are other ways, but let's say a little bit more enhanced.
I see. One thing that when I try also to explain Glamorous Toolkit is that I've heard that it is a live environment, but I think in instances like your example, I kind of understand that you have a live object and you pass things around, and then Glamorous Toolkit may know how to draw this. It's
Yeah.
still difficult to wrap my head around this idea, but I think as I work more with Glamorous Toolkit, I'll understand this idea a little bit more.
So I mean, the liveliness here comes from Smalltalk. So the Smalltalk model, and the reason we built Glamorous Toolkit in Smalltalk was because it just it was much easier to experiment with ideas because Smalltalk already gave us the interesting and very rich way to introspect the system itself. So because we knew that from the beginning that in order for the tools to be sustainable, so if you could get to create thousands of tools or tools for every problem, then obviously understanding and building building the tools for building the tools um, should basically be the same as the ones that you use to build the other tools. So to solve the other problems outside. And so we needed this self-referential from the beginning, and we knew that. Um, but how you use this at the tool level, and how do you make use of all these properties at the tool level? That's Glamorous Toolkit specific. So, and these are new kinds of, let's say, actions, affordabilities that didn't exist before, and that's what we get to play. So we basically have, you can think of the Glamorous Toolkit as giving you an environment as a language. So not the programming language as a language, but the environment is another language that extends the programming language and basically intermingles with it. So like here, uh, this little thing here is a rather, I mean, this looks like such a detail, but in order to do that, we had to be able to have a whole new kind of an editor, so that we can insert an arbitrary expander somewhere in the middle of the code. But then you also had to have a way to describe where do you want that one, which then there's a whole language workbench underneath so that we can define plugins for the editor while you type. And that right now you see it in for Faro. And of course, we have lots of tools or lots of examples for applying it for Faro, but you can actually use the same kind of editing for other languages too. So Faro is just an instance. It isn't, Glamorous Toolkit isn't the editor for Faro, it has an editor for Faro. And this is the editor that we needed the most because this is how we build the tools. But there are other things that you can build with it not which are not Faro related.
I see. I see.
Okay, so but coming back to our problem. So we had your features, and now we have learned to build a view, right? So you notice here, oh, I was in raw and I double click to look at the details. Every time you do that, you're basically saying that the best way to look at an object is by looking at its structure. And sometimes looking at its structure is useful, especially when you're programming it, for example. But if you want to understand it from the outside, many times the internal structure is not particularly useful. So here is one of those cases where in order to look at the features, you actually had to resort going to something which is kind of a low-level object, which is like a dictionary. And that's not an interesting object to necessarily spend time looking at.
Would you say that then a good heuristic for creating views is when you find yourself double clicking, going to the raw data, and things like that? If you find yourself doing this multiple times, like in this example, then it's a good
It's a good
time
trigger.
to think that maybe I should create a view for this.
Yes, and but most of the time, so when you find yourself clicking on the raw view, there is always, anytime you do take any action, anytime you browse even through your regular editor or investigating, switching to another tool, doing something, there's always a question that drives you. But most of the time, we developers leave those questions not explicitly formulated. And that's why it's easy to fall back to just do whatever, and somehow some answer will come, and then I'll match it eventually. But with multiple development, the most important and the most difficult part is not, oh, how do I create tools? But it's, how do I make the question that I have in front of me explicit? And as soon as I have the question explicit, then I will ask, oh, what's the most interesting way to answer this question? So sometimes it's going to be, I don't have anything. So at the beginning, so I want to look at the raw data. So I'm going to look into the raw data. But now that I have the answer, right, there are two ways. So when I go from left to right, I I um I have a question on the left and I get the answer on the right. When I go from
Mhm.
right to left, I have the answer and then I consolidate it.
Oh,
And I
I
don't
see.
want to consolidate it in my head. I want to consolidate it in the system. So,
Yeah, yeah,
so
that makes
he,
sense.
so here I saw it here, but now it's here, right? And it's this, and this is why we have the interface has this accordion metaphor in it. So you make music with the accordion both when you expand and when you collapse. But it's very important that if you only expand, then you can't create interesting music. So you have to be able
Oh,
to
yeah.
do it all the time, right? So often when you program, especially at the beginning, people find it, oh, I have so many tabs with so many panes open. These kinds of explorations out there. And that's because there is no collapsing. So people only expand, but they don't collapse. And so this is how you find out, oh, what did I learn here on the right? And is there anything I can do here? Now, of course, at the extreme, you want to always do something on the left, but that at some point there's going to be some sort of pragmatic choice of, am I actually creating a view? Is it good enough? Maybe. But those come afterwards. So first is getting used with this idea. I'm on the left, I have a question, I go to the right to find the answer. As soon as I find the answer, I want to externalize what I understand um, into the system so that I don't have to remember it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah, that makes sense. Okay,
I can continue now.
then let's get back, and I'll also come back to what you said about asking the right questions, not the right, asking just questions, okay, or the more specific question.
Yes.
So, um, uh, cool, okay. So let's close this. Okay, so if I open this again, we have now uh, the view. Nice. And then what I want to do is make the API call for each country. So I put in a dictionary, the country and then all the features. And probably you will say the same again that we have this. And what we probably want to do.
Yes. What do you think you want to do?
So what I probably need to do is create a view which has this
Where?
one.
Where?
That's where.
Yeah, because
So
here's the problem, right? Here now you're having a generic object in front of you, a dictionary, which is fine. Yeah, you prototype something, but where would you have this information?
um, I think, and of course you can correct me, but my train of thought is that the features are dependent on the app. So I think that the app should have a view for this, but
Yeah.
maybe I
But
could be
so
wrong.
but now the question is, of course, now look here, right? In the app, you have features for and you pass the country code. So now the question is, where should this list of countries be stored? Who should know about that?
Uh, I think again the app, and that's how I have
Most
created
likely.
the. So yeah, yeah. For example, here I create the available countries, I store it.
Yes.
So yeah, it's all in the app at the end of the day.
Yes.
And then
So
this will return essentially the same thing. But what I've done now, if I inspect the app, I have already created these
oh, there it
views.
is. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could maybe add an emoji with a red close button and the green tick, or something visually more appealing.
But
Uh,
this is important. So, does it have to be necessarily visually more appealing? And appeal, the question is, what does appeal mean? So, and for whom? So if I'm looking at it and I'm not building an Android application, for me it's just a table. But for you, if you want to actually make a choice, make a decision, oh, what does this mean? Is it enabled? Is it disabled for this one? Having this information over here actually kind of makes it already uh, interesting. So the appeal is very, very context sensitive.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll tell you, I've already in my real life scenario, I have added like some circles, green for true, red for false. And why I've done this is because we actually had a conference page with something like this. And it had like emojis or, the green, red thing. And it was completely out of sync. So it had the wrong countries.
Mhm.
It had for existing countries. I mean, there were countries that shouldn't be there. There were new countries that weren't in the conference. There were some updates in some already
Yeah.
launched countries. And what I wanted to do is show to my peers that, hey, this is the complex space, this is what I've simulated doing. That's why I said visual appealing, because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, for sure.
I'm not only using this for myself, but we have software engineers in test, which most of the times control whether or not something should go in production. So they are the ones that go to the feature flag service and turn things on and off. And most of the times, they're assigned to do this because they also do the test, let's say the real manual test, if this looks okay. So, there are multiple, let's say, customers for my views. One is for me, one is for business people that need to know
Mhm.
what the general view of the system, and the other one is for the software engineering test, or whoever is assigned to turn on or off things and test, because we will see an example later where um, a regression was introduced in one build. So what I would like to do, um, the real important decision to make is, okay, I've made the regression, which countries are regulated, and for which do I need to force update? Because if I don't force update to the app, I'm not compliant. So this is the real um, specific and
Business
valuable
case.
question here.
Yeah, understood. So now one thing before we go there, this one over here, if you double click on that, what do you get?
I think it will be just a string.
Yeah, go ahead, Clyde.
Oh, it's an association.
Right. Now, just look at this. So you have an association between something, a string here, fr, and a set of features. So what
Yes.
do you, but association is such a generic object.
Yeah.
So anything else we could do here?
Maybe inline this, or maybe the view that we created before. So it will have
But
a
where
debitor
would
or
you
a
put,
list.
right, but where would you put that view that you, because that view is per feature. Features. So,
Yeah.
but where would you put it? Because here, this is just an association. So I can't put the features uh, view into any association because we use
Um,
associations everywhere in the system.
would it make sense then to have like a countries object and
That's it.
yeah.
It just told you. So look, right? No, notice here how, oh, I need to have a place to put this view because I would really want to see it per country, but I need an object for that. Oh, I don't have an object for it. Therefore, I should create it. It's another one of these moves that you want to um, to do when you want to learn about. So you're saying, oh, I want to find the answer, or I have the answer. In both situations, I might be creating either extending the environment or or extending the model, right? So in this
So
situation, it tells you, oh, I should be creating a country object. So my app should have features per country or something like that, or just country.
I see, I see. Then, if we do the accordion analogy, I should close this, go back, and see, for example, that.
Yeah, right
Um,
click here. No, you're here already. Don't go here.
oh,
You're
okay.
already in the nice thing. So
Ah,
defining method, if you go here, you don't have the object. If you stay in their place,
oh, yeah,
defining
yeah, yeah.
method, and you look here, you have those. Look here. This is the interesting thing here.
I
So
see.
features
Okay.
per country, it already tells you, like you already have a way to get it, but you're returning a generic data structure. And there, that method shouldn't give you features per country, it should give you countries.
I see. So if I expand this,
Also, just one thing to note here is you're having this query outside of this block, which means that the cell features per country, in this case, it's a very cheap request. It's a cheap query, but if you would be a more expensive computation, it would block or make the whole inspector slower because the inspector first gets all the views and then calculates. But if the getting of the view is expensive, then the whole inspector becomes slower. So you want to put this one here inside the block.
oh, I see. I see. Okay. I had this problem in my real life scenario. So we have 17 countries, 17, yes,
Yeah.
countries. Okay. And I have created the app object, but I don't have just a list here hard coded. So I have to make an API call to
An
fetch,
API
first
call
of
to get the
all,
list. Yeah.
the list and then
Yeah.
make the API call for the features, and it's a big
Yeah.
JSON.
And then
So
the whole
when
inspector
I
is slow.
when I run this, the whole thing freezes for like 7, 8 seconds until it makes
Yeah.
the 34 API calls.
Yeah. Put basically simply take this one and put it inside this block and it will you then it's much faster.
I see, I see.
So I mean at least the because this block it's guarded by how it's computed, so you can cancel it if you want, so you'll have those kinds of options afterwards
Okay, okay.
inside the view.
So here, what I would do is I would create the countries method, not method, object, let's say,
Yeah.
and I would add the features.
Right, but it wouldn't be features per country. It will be probably just the self countries. And the self
Okay,
countries, because there's no need to have any other um, the available countries is already in the app, so I don't need to pass it to my method because I already have the available countries in the app as state.
okay, okay. And what if we had like a separate set of features, completely different to regulated? Okay, but other teams would be also interested in that. So maybe the countries would have the regulated features as a slot and the other features as, we could create multiple coherent
Yeah, you can have two
properties.
sets of features. Or you can have a country, so make a specific country. There's something that is for all countries, so features for everybody and features that are specific for a country or something that nature. So, but basically, you're just describing the problem, and there's never one always just a single way to model anything. But basically, just guiding yourself. So here, right now, we're just doing exploring data and creating views. At some point, we'll probably also want to formalize a bit in writing some sort of examples or tests. So we call them in Glamorous Toolkit, we have examples as a way to express tests. Um, and like this, with these two forces, examples on the one hand and views on the other hand, you get to discover the design easier than trying to imagine it completely upfront.
Yeah, yeah, I see, I see. And yeah, so this is pretty much, the view that I have created in my real life scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And the real why it would be so useful is that, again, we want to be compliant. On some versions of the app we are not, and when the responsible person who turns on the feature flag or releases to a new country um, finds out that, oops, I shouldn't do this probably, and then I'll come back and say, hey, yeah, I know that I introduced this regression on build number X. Please force update, or do not turn this on until we force update.
Mm-hmm.
So this comes to my general questions around mobile development.
Mm-hmm.
So even in this contrived example, we have multiple sources that we could query. We could query the feature flag service itself, which could be wrong, because even if you turn something on or off, the backend could return disabled for version X, because I introduced the bug. We have the backend for front-end, the code base. We have the real API that we are querying. We have the Android code base. We also have the Android executable, which is an APK-AB file which we can extract, decompile, or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, even in this example, we have 5 data sources, and probably we have already discussed this, but if I make a question, I should decide which of these data sources is the best to answer, right?
Best to answer the question, because you don't just have one question, you have all sorts of questions, and sometimes the answer is in one place, sometimes it's in multiple, and then you'll say, yeah, but one is more expensive than the other one, so it's good enough to have the answer here. But sometimes you'll have new questions for which, for example, so, oh, I want to, where is this being used in my source code? All of a sudden, looking at the API is not useful anymore. You'll need to go and look in the code base. And of course, in the code base, my guess is that you're going to do a grep search of sorts to find where that thing is. And that's not so nice. So it would be nice to click on the country and say, oh, here in the source code. Or click on the feature and says, here it is.
I see, I
And
see.
then if you can
So
do that, if you can show where in the source code, for example, something is defined or used or so, you can also go and make the tool change the code. So, oh yeah, actually turn it on, boom, and then it appears there.
I see, I see. So in the example of, just making a client-side regression, okay, there is nothing that the API can tell us about this, and we can only query the Android code base, which is in Kotlin. I'm not sure if we can parse Kotlin in Glamorous Toolkit,
Not out of
but
the box, but you can
but
build a
maybe
parser.
we could somehow parse and understand.
Yeah,
And I will switch to the Android code base.
yes.
And and here is, so let's see. So let's say I have introduced this regression, and let me run the app real quick to show how it looks and what's the regulatory thing here. So the app opens, and for the 2 flags, feature flags, one we have a generic message that we saw, but for some markets we also want this um, emoji of the flag to show. Okay,
Mhm.
and what I did in this commit is that I moved the title inside the flag check. So even if the feature was turned on, but the flag, the country flag was off, I would only show the body, not the title. So this was a regression. And let's imagine that you know what, I have reached the Brazil regulated market or whatever market. And the only, I know it as an Android engineer because I made the bug, and I know that it's fixed on the next version.
Yes.
How would I be able to show this in an environment as moldable, as Glamorous Toolkit? Because
Okay.
what I said,
Yeah, always start from the question. So we know there is, oh, we know in Brazil, the title doesn't appear. Right. So if
yes,
the title doesn't appear, maybe it's because it's Brazil and it's not something else. So maybe it's related to the feature toggle. So then, where is the Brazil feature toggle used? And what features are disabled for it? Oh, those are the features. Great. So if that's if those are the features, any of them match what we have? Yes, look, the title one is right there. Okay, so now if I look at this, where is it being used in the code? Well, here it's just in one place being used in the code, and now you've just narrowed it down. Now the next part is kind of interesting because now, how do you see whether or not when you execute the app, it shows you the element or not? Well, that's now a functional. Until now, we didn't have a functional. The questions were not functional; they were structural. So, what features exist? Where are they being used? Those are not interesting. You don't think of the executing necessarily the app. You think of the structure of the code. And so, therefore, but now at the end, you come to a question which is at here, you come to a question which is much more interesting to look at from a functional point of view. And this is where a test would work very well. Do you have a test that shows how should the how should it look like if it's enabled or disabled, for example? And then you will go
yeah.
there. So this is it's not an the question is how quickly can you navigate this space regardless of your questions? And you will find that for many of the questions that you have, so that I just posed now, like for example, which are the features? Oh, there was this Confluence page, but the Confluence page was manually updated. Nobody trusted it, right? So it was mostly for business, and then of course, and but even they didn't trust it really. So then at the end, people would search something, maybe have a query somewhere in the day against the database, some script somewhere, and kind of use it like this, or maybe kind of guessing sometimes. The other one, where is it being used in the code? It would be a code, like would be a string search through the code base to see what it is. And then the answer is, ooh, which tests are available for this one? We don't know. So all of those, they involve lots of manual steps. And those are the ones that you can automate away. And
But automating this would mean that, for example, I need to somehow parse my code base because there's
yeah,
no other way to
sure,
tell if,
sure.
or even the executable, because the code base is always on the latest version, let's say. I would either need to check out to the previous faulty version or to the newest one, which fixes this. But at the end of the day, if I return back to Glamorous Toolkit,
Yeah,
is that, hey, I introduced the bug for build number 3.
yeah,
So I do know that we saw the welcome message for Greece and Brazil, and these are the two impacted, which for version 3 won't show the title. And I want for this to turn off the feature altogether or force update.
yeah,
So what I would like to do is like I share my image of Glamorous Toolkit with the person who is responsible to turn on or off the feature. And when they try to turn on, I don't know, a warning appears or something that says, hey, you need to force update this. But maybe this is more complicated.
No, why should it be more complicated to force up to have an action, to have a button here and where which then triggers an action on the other side? Sure.
Uh, okay, okay.
So
So,
let's try to do something really basic. So first of all, let's turn your false and true into your circles with red and green. Okay, so let's go in this view. And yeah, let's drag this one out to have it persistent so that it doesn't go away. Okay. And then here, instead of the column, so here it says a column with text. I don't want to have text here anymore. Let's say I want to put something we call a stencil here. Yeah. And then here we'll be creating, so like this one, and then instead of this, if true, I don't know what this show value message is, but uh, maybe no, show value message. You should still show value message. You still need that one.
oh yeah, I do need it because
Yeah, that's the
the
Boolean.
value is
Yes.
the feature, and I'm querying the show welcome message.
Yeah. Then I can say if so. You can say here if true. Then let's, for example, let's put a simple one. Uh, so now a block, yes, and then BL element new, BL, BL from block,
ah,
BL element, yeah, new, and then for example size 10, 16 by 16, 16. That's going to be too large.
16, yeah, yeah, yeah.
By at 16, so no at so the the, the at sign.
Ah, ah,
So this is how you this is how you define a point. So if you send at to a number, you get a point as a result, and then put a semicolon there, and then say background color green. No, it's a small, yes, like that one, small cap. So we send another message to BL element, background
oh,
color,
this.
yes, and then color green. Yeah, and then if false, you still have to return an element if false. Yeah. Then you'll do the same, but
Same with the
with
red.
red, yeah. And you need to close one, yeah, and not one more closed bracket. Yes. Format, Command Shift F.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Save.
Oh, nice.
And now these are now elements. So the views are just some generic or not say no higher level kind of constructs. But underneath, everything you see here is part of a single rendering tree made out of so-called these block elements. So, for example, press now Control Option Shift, and then or Control Alt Shift. I don't know if you're a Windows or Mac.
I'm on the MacBook.
Yeah, so Control Option Shift, press them, and then move the mouse.
I think I'm missing something. Or
Control, Option, and Shift.
control. Nah, I can't do it. I
Why
think I'm
not?
on a keyboard that doesn't have all the keys or something like that.
No, it must have, because yeah, this is the one. Yeah, that was it.
Okay. And
And
what?
now click here, for example. Yeah, okay. So now this is the kind of like the DOM. but it's not the
Ah,
DOM. It's the um, i- in this case, everything you see on the screen, including the lines inside the text editor, are elements in this tree, in a single tree. So it's what we call a one rendering tree. And you have full control over what happens here on this page. So this one here looks like a simple just a thing, but you can add any interactions you want. You can actually embed arbitrarily complicated uh, elements anywhere you want. So, for example, that the expander that shows you that allows you to expand the method inside the editor is basically saying in the editor insert me an arbitrary element. So the whole environment is made so that you can is made out of uniform pieces that can be as complicated as you want them to be. So now this one over here can be made to be a button if you want,
oh, I see.
or you can attach to it, context menus or any interaction that you might basically imagine. There is no limitation to what you can do. The view thing is just basically a very, very thin builder. But at the end, you build this, and this is that's where the actual graphical parts happen. So the views are nothing special in the sense that at the end they just generate this, and then but everything happens at this level. So, and then you have all the options to access this level and to do whatever you want.
I see. I see. So we could, for example, for in this case, we could create a button out of this element,
Yes.
and when you're on version 3, so we'll create another object with a build number 3. It it can show a pop-up that says, you know what, this is problematic. You need to force update,
Sure.
and this is force updating has a real business impact because it's not a good experience. You
Right.
know, you
Right.
open your app, you just need to use it. So, but on the other hand, you have to be compliant. So, in this case, you can't allow customers to be on this version, let's say.
Yeah. Understood. No, so
So,
yes, the answer is yes. You can just directly
okay,
do.
okay, okay.
But
So, if I close this,
yeah, so this one is called Driller, and it's a tool. So if you now, for example, let's double click. Let's find just for the double click on any of these here on the right. So these are now inspectors. So you're now inspecting the element itself. So this is not the end of it. Like in usually when you do inspect element, you see the tree, but then it stops there. Maybe you see some properties, but then it stops there. Well, here you are simply saying, oh, that's another object for which I need another inspector, and then I just can continue as complicated explorations as I can do in anywhere else. Okay, so just so that you know that if you're interested to understand how to build UIs, it's very nice. This is a way to learn about what exists already in the UI. So and learn from it. So
I see, I see.
okay, so we can close that. We can, yeah. Okay, so now we have that, and let's just let's do a very, very simple way. So for example, if it's green, then we want to put here maybe a semicolon, and then let's add the click event handling. So we can do something like when colon, and then here BL click event, capital B, small L click event. Yeah. do, and then here we will get the event. So we have a block, yes, and then in the block we get the event, so event, okay, and then here we can say the easiest thing would be to say event target. So the target will be the button that we just clicked, but target, yeah. And now here we're gonna do first of all just write as I say, and then I'll explain. So do space flow PHLOW small p. So these are now all messages. Flow, yeah. And now here we do spawn object, spawn object, for example. Yeah, and let's say we're gonna do association, ASOC. Or no, not ASOC. Let's do just ASOC value. So just gonna be the no
Oh,
spawn object without the block. There's no block there. Just ASOC value. Yeah. Okay. So let's Command Shift F here. Yeah, save. Okay. So now let's click on the green one.
nothing happens.
Uh, how come? BL. If you click only once, nothing happens.
Nothing, yeah. In neither of red or green.
What am I doing wrong here? Let's put a self halt here instead.
What should I do?
Self halt. Self
Self?
space halt and then dot. Yeah, halt. Halt. Halt from stop.
Ah, okay, okay. And
No,
remove
leave
the
it. Just put a dot here. Just put the halt here. Self halt.
hold. Okay, okay, okay.
And then a period at the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
So that there are two sentences. Basically,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
one way to add a breakpoint. So let's save. Okay. Huh. What? I don't see it at the moment. I'm doing something that is obviously not right, but I don't know what.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But in general, we could add the click event and then
Yeah.
maybe
You can add the click event. So
since
a
since
simple,
we
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, so since we're already on the app, we could somehow query the build number. So create. Do we have this? No. I'm not sure because I was on the blog here, but somehow, since we have the available countries, we could also have the build number, which is a message in the app. And let's say query manually if build number greater than or equals 3,
Hmm.
then show the message that you know what, you need to force update this version.
Yes, like that. So,
And then another question that I have is, so right now we have created a single instance of the app with a build number. But what a lot of people don't understand on Android development is that you have multiple clients on production. So you don't have just one app. You have the app with build number 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's say that somehow we can gather which build versions are available per country. And we would, or not per country, but we just want to see which apps are available and then have like a list of apps with this view. Again,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and I'm saying this because let's say we would like to see all together for all available apps which are problematic and which are not. Because right now, what I would need to do is um, go here. Oh, actually, yeah, okay. Oh, Glamorous Toolkit has actually stalled.
Oh, is
Maybe
it?
because we did the halt thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, we should have done only halt once. You're right. Oops, I've done it wrong.
Would I need to close and reopen?
Yes.
Okay, no worries.
Uh, yeah, should have been halt once.
Okay, cool. So yeah, going back to the example. Okay, we have the app.
I don't know why it doesn't work because I just tried it and it it works.
I think I might have just mistyped something.
Maybe. So you know you have okay, yes. Let's alt click again. You have them all in the changes.
uh, should I click again?
No,
But
no, right click on it. Right click on the let's edit the view. No, not on that. Let's edit the view again. Let's edit the view, the country features view.
the country features view.
Yeah, you right click.
Here.
Yes. So you can put there halt once, but that should just work there, and I don't know why that doesn't work. We're missing something that is kind of obvious, but uh, hmm. You can say instead of halt, put halt once. Halt once. Halt once. Yes. So save.
Yeah.
Yes. And now if you click on it, yes. So you get the debugger, and I don't know why. And now if you run, continue here on the right, just resume. Yeah. Yeah, that one. Proceed. Yeah, it works. So I don't know what happened there. You can remove the self halt once.
Just a minute, I'm lost.
Yeah.
Oh, nice works.
No, this is still the association, and it should give you a value. So
Uh,
no. Wait, right click again, because basically what happens here is that you click on this one, but it also forwards the event. So after we consume it here at the end, we say event be acted.
so it should have the value, not the association itself.
No, is be acted upon. So it should be um, in the after at the end of it here at the end. You
Yeah.
have to say event.
Sorry, can you repeat?
So at the end of the event, we have to tell it that we have consumed the event and
Oh,
that it shouldn't propagate the event. Because basically you click here, but underneath there is so the parent is the list, and the list has another handler, which if you click
uh,
somewhere, selects the whole line. So here we have at the end of after the value, you put a period here, and then we add another after value here inside the block.
yeah.
Remove, you typed end, but you should remove end. put a period, a dot, and now we say event is consumed true. Is consumed. The colon and then true. So basically we tell it now we have consumed this event, it shouldn't propagate. Remove this part. Just consumed, is consumed.
Okay.
Is no? Or just consumed. What is it? Consumed. Consumed. Sorry. Yeah, like this.
Okay.
So save. Now try to click on the green part. And now you can see only the value appears here.
Nice. I see.
But it should have, I don't know why it didn't work when you clicked the first one, because something should have happened, but it didn't. So,
Yeah, I see. Okay.
and so now you basically, this is like a really, really tiny, tiny thing. It also has a separate, so um, it has an ability there. Now, of course, let's edit this one again. And let's look at let's look here. Let's copy this part. So double click at the beginning of this block. Yeah, double click. So select the whole thing. Select the whole contents at the beginning of the block, not including the block, just the block contents here.
All
No,
these things?
just inside the true block.
Okay.
Yes, so copy it and let's move into the playground, because basically I want to show you how you should okay, or can be there or separately. Okay, you need to put here a bracket at the end. Yeah, so of course it doesn't have all these, it doesn't have the association at the moment. So let's put here something, put here 42. Instead of association value, put 42. Some object. Okay, let's go Command Shift F, inspect. Yeah, inspect. So now that's your you have now an inspector with this element, and in there you have this element. So now you can click on it and you will get 42 on the right.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So the way you prototype the element is like this. It's in isolation, and then when it's nice, and then you can put it in a larger scene. But you can just scope and create your nice little element the way you want it, and then you use it somewhere else.
I see. Nice.
So
Okay, and then if we have some time, a last question is that, okay, so we can do all these kind of things. We could create like a list of apps and then, I don't know, somehow show to the person seeing this that, this version is problematic, things like that. And we could either hard code this with the knowledge of my head that I'm the senior engineer, I knew that I introduced this, or I could create a parser to actually parse the real code base. So this will be a little bit more true, let's say, if the regression is there or not. But well, two things actually is that first, I found myself replicating, essentially making a small app inside Faro, a small Android app, and I have duplicated this first of all here, how I create the endpoint, how I add the header, things like that, but also in the view itself. Because if we go to the view, we can see that if I go to the show country flag, so on the feature, I don't know, it's a little bit difficult to move there. Okay, let's inspect this. But if I go to the definition of features, So what I have done here is I have created also the checks for the flags that I do on the Android app manually here. And for example, on the app, you need to show the welcome message in order to show the country flag. Otherwise, the country flag won't show at all. So that means that whoever turns on the feature flags will need to turn both. Um, so again, this is knowledge in my head. I know as the Android engineer that created this that I need to check both feature flags to show whether or not this is on or off. Uh, but again, I think we've talked offline about making examples and tools and how you test your own tool. So how could one create a test? Because let's say that I make a change and I show the country flag irrespectively of if I saw the message. I don't know, I saw it somewhere else. Okay. That means that now the tool has broken on a certain version of the Android app.
Mhm.
Uh, so how one does create a test for the tool?
For the tool, for
For
the,
here,
the
so
one that is
let's,
showing.
yeah, because now this is hard-coded. This is me knowing that for some versions or for the versions that exist now, I need to do both flag checks. But on a future version, this will break. Um, as far as I understand, I should query the code base for this or the
The
APK.
question is, who tells you? Yeah, so where is the information?
Yeah, so let's say that the
Where?
information is there. We have created the
No,
parser.
where is it? Where is it? Is it in the source code? Is it in the running app? You need to get it from where it is.
Mhm, mhm.
So in
But
this case, it's probably the source code.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So we have to somehow get it from
So
there.
you create, in this case, you create the parser for Java, Kotlin, whatever language that you have, or and somehow query the code base for this, or or you can run the tests for this. I mean the JUnit tests or whatever. Um, but can you run the tests from here, or do you create like a new test, a GT example or something like this? This is where I'm not sure how GT examples work and if they should query the code base or the appropriate source and how to do this.
Well, so we will have to go into the actually writing the um, the analysis, right? So we would have to go into how do we do, for example, static analysis of code. So if you have I don't know, we have a little bit of time left, but if you have a Java source around, then we can quickly take a look. There is no out of the box parser for Kotlin, but one can be built. So again, in Glamorous Toolkit, you also have the tools to build tools, including
Mm.
parsers. Um, but if you would have a Java source around, then you would see how you can, it's just one line to parse that one and produce an abstract syntax tree and start looking inside of it.
I see. No, it's too bad this is in
No,
Kotlin.
but
It's not.
just take any Java file you have around. Doesn't matter. But if you want to see how it
Create
is.
a new one then, let's say.
Okay. It doesn't have to be Java. It can also be JavaScript, for example.
Which of
But
for me it's easier to write
Java,
Java.
perfect. Just go ahead and create a Java class.
Okay, okay. I don't know, maybe something like this. Okay.
Okay, super.
And,
And maybe create a method.
I don't know, this is a little bit stupid, but just something easy to parse.
Yes, okay, it is always easy. Okay, we save this one. Let's copy the path to this file. Yes, copy path. Yes, absolute. Now we can go to Glamorous Toolkit and open a new snippet, file snippet. Yes, and put a string. Yeah, yeah, inspect. No, no, no.
Just
Inspect the string.
Control Z.
Don't select. Yeah. So you can see already here we have this. We also have here something called file contents. And the question is, how do we get the file content? So you can right click on this. So defining method, and it tells you here something with self as file reference. Or if you put as file reference here,
What should I do?
and just put it here in the snippet after the
Okay,
string.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And we will get the.
Yeah, inspect. Now you have code. Okay, so how did you get the code? Okay, this is a little bit more complicated, but basically here you can say contents. Yeah, and this will give you the string of the file. And now if you do here Java parser parse at the beginning, Java parser space parse colon, yeah, inspect. Now you have your abstract syntax tree. So this is now a node, and here you have the source, and here you have the tree. So this is a view of the whole abstract syntax tree of this one. So, and this is just the tree. So now you can go and query the tree and find things in the tree. And that's the basis. This is the most basic, let's say, static analysis or way to handle static analysis. On top of it, we can have a way to query the source. We have a way to, aggregate it into more elaborate models like graph models and so on. But this is the approach. Because at the end, you just have this.
I see, I see. So I could, in theory, evaluate if this returns false or whatever, or based on the actual data from our queries up here. I don't know if we could pass them there and somehow evaluate the what it returns.
No, so this is not an evaluator, right? This is just a static thing to see where is something defined in the code. It isn't
Hmm.
an evaluator of that executes something on the runtime. If we want to execute something on the runtime, we would need a different way. We would need to go and have a debugger now link. So for example, for Python and JavaScript, we have a way to execute code or to manipulate and look into the runtime of Python and JavaScript on the other side, and um, then we would you get inspectors over the remote runtime, and probably something like similar can be done here. So you would use a debugger protocol to connect to the runtime and then inspect from Glamorous Toolkit what happens there.
I see, I see. This sounds a little bit exotic and too much outside of.
So again, like here, but you don't have to. This all I'm saying is that there's no limit to the. So and in the environment, if you open the book in the environment, you will see case studies that show you not the same kinds of problems, but problems at different levels. We usually start with the API kind of problem because it's such an easy, it's a very easy, very shallow kind of problem, but it gives you enough space to exercise the basic moves, understand what the playground is, an inspector, the views, how do you play with that, how do you grow your model based on what you're exploring. But underneath there are multiple layers. So we can go into much, much deeper kinds of problems. to find how. Now, the good thing is, and the reason we are showing all these case studies is not because Glamorous Toolkit is so extensive. It's because we apply the same idea at all levels of abstraction, which means now that if you learn once, if you invest once in the skills and you understand how to learn the technology and how to think about the technology, then you can take that investment and apply it over and over again to a large variety of problems. And that's what the case studies there show you. So now here I'm just describing to you what options exist. Now, you don't have this option in other places. So of course, some options, some things look very complicated at the moment. But what I can promise you is that it's at all levels of abstraction. We use the same, we decompose problems pretty much using the tools that you have in front of you. I mean, if you think about it, before you had the same page, but here um, you were looking at your objects that were representing the code, the data, right? So just your objects. Even there, we just staying there, we looked at the class of the object that was representing the data. Now we are looking in starting from the same starting point, using the same basic inspector, but with different kinds of views and a different object. Now I all of a sudden find myself doing static analysis, but I
Yeah,
never left, right? So in today's like the accepted practice is for different kinds of problems like this, you would use completely different kinds of tools. But that isn't that's not the case. It doesn't have to be the case. So this is why, even if something appears complicated, the most important thing the most important thing to say is it possible? Because once it is possible, then the question is, how do you get there?
I
That's it.
see.
And
Yeah,
so now you're already on the way to go from basically 0 to 1. So, and have a way to find yourself, find your way through the environment. And the pieces that you're now playing with are pretty much the pieces that you, or to a good extent, the pieces that you need to go and find out more or build more things.
I see. I see. Yeah. So far, I've worked with the Glamorous Toolkit. I've enjoyed it. Sometimes I find it a little bit difficult to do things. So maybe that's because I'm just new to the tool itself, to Pharos. So I have to learn a lot of things simultaneously.
Mhm.
Um, but in general, how I want to treat it, and coming back to your question about what is Glamorous Toolkit, I want first of all to treat it as a knowledge base that extracts realist data, because again, I have hard coded all these things, or how the features work, but it's still a better visualization than hard coding. And in the future, I want to use it, for extracting different modules. So I have monolithic Android apps, and you want to extract features to their standalone module, and you have this spaghetti of code with circular dependencies. And for me, it's tool for recording and documenting things that represent reality to a certain depth, and also help you make decisions about your code. But your decision could be also, just force update, and it has real business impact.
Yes.
So that's how I feel about Glamorous Toolkit. I'm looking forward to working with it a little bit more. So that's also the questions that I want to ask to you. So if you have anything else that you would like to discuss.
No, I think that's well, thank you for the energy that you already put in it. I think it's really interesting, and I think I really like it. I really like how you found applicability in your actual life. This is not like a toy only, but you actually took the time to make a toy example just so that we can have conversations like that, which is so cool. But what there are two things I think that would you would be probably be interested in. One is learn about block. So how do we block is the graphical stack. So how do we build various graphical scenes? So now you've learned about Driller, and this is one way to learn about what you have in front of you. But it's not the only way. So the other thing that I would like you to maybe spend a little bit of time on is to look into how to query the image, so that you can learn from what exists already in the image for how you want to build. So for this one, there is something called search filters, and if you shift enter search filter, I think. Yeah, search filter, search space, search space filter. And yeah, GT search filters by Sour. Uh, yeah, in the Glamorous Toolkit book, but it's we can take a look at yeah, you can take a look at this one, or there's another one which is a search how to find stuff in GT. Yeah,
Oh, this one.
yes. Um, we notice here that there is a change in the YouTube, so this preview doesn't work anymore, but the moment, but this one here, querying fire code with GT filters, um, that's uh, that's a good page to look at.
Oh, nice.
So, and these ones, you will see that just with simple things. So just playground snippets in the playground and inspectors. So if you execute this one, for example, you see here in the inspector. So this is now a pragma filter. So you have an object which knows how to search. And if you look into the metrics, for example, you will see here how many methods exist in the image. Um, that so there are 4,400 views already defined in the image. And if you look now in the results, you will see if you expand this, you will see that this is a method. So essentially, this snippet plus this inspector now is just transform it and this view, you just transformed it into something that looks like a search tool, but it's entirely programmatic, which also means that you can express much more complicated kinds of things. So, for example, here, if you click on this one, it will tell you what are all the views in which we define either a tree or a column tree. So if you now expand this, you will see this and this being highlighted. Or interesting. This one is we're looking at we got the tree icon, but yes. So this is basically this is so you can find things if you understand how to programmatically work with this object with this kind of composing queries. You can afterwards build more. You can find things in the image much faster.
I see.
So
I
this
see.
is how you invest in this one first, because it helps you bootstrap the your learning um, of the technology.
Nice.
Good. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time also and for creating Glamorous Toolkit. It's
Well,
really exciting.
I'm glad you find it useful. And well, and yeah, go ahead, continue this in the same way. I'd be very interested to learn more about how the kinds of problems that you get to solve. I already, you already see how you already have a very concrete problem, and this is a very, very good starting point to start with the problem that you care about, And then within how long did it take you to get to this point with all the, let's say, investment?
Um, I think it took me around 2 weeks to start, writing some Faro code and then looking at the real examples of how you've done this in other cases, some recordings on YouTube or from the Glamorous Toolkit book. There's an example about parsing graph query. It was very similar. It just make an API call, but it was graph query. I needed an HTTP. It took like 2.5 weeks, but I've been watching and reading about Glamorous Toolkit for uh, I think 2 3 months. Until I decided that I need to
Need to start
um,
doing something.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I like very much all the recordings and things like that and the reading, but at the end of the day, I think that you have to start doing something, find the real case that you have a real problem, and then go from there.
Yes, that's pretty cool. So I'm glad you took the jump, and let's stay connected. And I definitely would like to hear more from you on the Discord, on
Yeah,
our community Discord. Thank you very much, and see you around.
yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. See you.